This is Grant Murray with Trina Kleinheinz, Jeanette Kwan, Joe Navarez, Melissa Reyes, and Justin Materna's presentation on the gamification of education.
Gamification is defined as the use of game elements, rather than full-fledged games, to improve user experience and user engagement in non-game services and applications. The core game concepts contained within a game are a goal-focused activity, reward mechanisms, and progress tracking. First of all, a goal-focused activity in a game is when the learner performs tasks to achieve a desired outcome, such as moving on to the next level or mission. Similarly, in education, this goal ends up leading towards mastery of a topic or skill. Reward mechanisms are motivating, such as leaderboards, prizes, and achievements. Any effective gamification tool has some sort of reward in place to motivate the students. Progress tracking is also an element that is essential to any game. Progress tracking obviously tracks progress towards goals within games, along with identifying steps to take in order to make it to the next milestone. In gamification, students can identify where or how close they are to mastering a specific topic and understand what they need to do to get there. There are 6 specific claims that digital gaming companies make towards the benefits of gamification. First of all, they state games are built on sound learning principles, therefore they are an integral part of learning and not a distraction. Second, that games provide more engagement for the learner. Games put a learner in a special state of flow where they are fully immersed in their learning environment. Next, that they provide more personalized learning opportunities, that strengths and weaknesses can be identified, and personalized learning choices are often available. Another claim is that games teach 21st century skills that capture the player's attention and engage them in complex thinking and problem solving. And finally, they claim that games create an environment for authentic and relevant assessment. For example, a game can evaluate a player's actions and provide immediate feedback. Ideally, in a perfect world, gamification used in the proper context can provide all these benefits for a user. However, as will be pointed out later, there are many factors that go into creating this perfect world, if possible.
Some people worry that gamification is not good for the learner because it is based on extrinsic motivation rather than intrinsic motivation. The author suggests that a way to alleviate this issue is to create rewards that give students autonomy by allowing them to choose their next learning target. Gamification can have a positive impact on students' motivation and learning as long as the objectives are clear and the individual student's needs are taken into account.
One example of how gamification can be used as a classroom management tool is the website Class Dojo. This website is a great example of how to incorporate many of the aspects of gamification. First of all, it is motivating. Students are motivated to behave in order to earn points. Teachers can decide on desired behaviors that they want to enforce. The points can be used for any reward of the teacher's choosing. Students even have the option to decide on their own rewards. Secondly, gender and age have been taken into consideration, as students are represented by avatars that are cartoon-like monsters on the class page. Additionally, progress is tracked for each student and can be displayed and sent home to parents. Best of all, the program is easy to use. Teachers can even download it as an app and control the program from anywhere. Click on the link above to check out Class Dojo.
Gamification, the process. I came upon a website about Michelle Alvarez. She created Flipside and Celestia in order to make learning exciting, fun, entertaining, and real for her students. It takes her 2 years to work out the kinks. She starts in summer of 2012 when Common Core is newly mandated. Through January of 2013, Michelle seeks discussions and resources on new topics in education through Edmodo. Flipside is one of Michelle's games and was created in February 2013. What is more compatible with a tablet? In May 2013, Michelle converted Flipside from Adobe Flash to HTML5 for easier access. It's September 2013. Flipside is complete and Quest 1 is ready to go. After a gamification course, Michelle is able to add terminals to her game where students are given 3 or more choices of direction. In August of 2014, Michelle reassesses her gamification approach from teaching gifted students to focusing on struggling students who would benefit more. December 2014, Florida launches their own version of Common Core standards. This forces Michelle to redesign her game to meet the new standards. By 2015, January, Michelle has redesigned her 2 games and is moving forward to help students learn through a game. Both Flipside and Celestia are interactive websites using the free Wix HTML platform. Flipside has been used by advanced 6th grade language arts classes and will be used by future language arts classes. Celestia has been used by middle school gifted elective classes, but could support any other middle school gifted program. Both sites have been created as a means for students to access resources that support course curriculum, as well as providing fun gamification elements to gamified classes.
These next 2 slides present some examples of gamification outside the classroom. The listed activities include a trash container that echoes a deep dropping sound as a person drops trash that encourages cleanliness, a staircase next to an escalator that plays musical notes when stepping on it that encourages exercising, a lottery entry for those drivers pictured while driving the speed limit, paid by those pictured driving over the speed limit. There are more for you to browse by clicking the links. All of these examples, quote, attempt to transform a mundane activity into something a little more exciting and fun, end quote. Apparently, this is a defining attribute of gamification. The importance of gamification is its ability to, quote, engage and help people to achieve their real-life goals using appropriate gaming elements and dynamics, end quote.
Here you can click to get to a link of any of these gamification apps.
This video is a TED Talk by gamification pioneer Yu-Kai Chao. In 2012, he published his gamification framework, Octalysis. In his talk, he explains some ways in which gamification has been used and could be used in the future to make the world a better, more sustainable, and more fun place to live our lives. The video is almost 17 minutes in its entirety, but is worth watching for some valuable insights on gamification.
Now that you have learned all about what gamification is and seen numerous examples of gamification, you may want to try it in your own classroom. Before making that decision to gamify a specific lesson or topic, ask yourself these 6 questions to ensure this is the proper step to take. First of all, is motivation actually a problem? Are there behaviors to encourage or discourage in your classroom? Can a specific activity or topic you are working on be gamified? What kind of rewards would provide the greatest motivation for learners? Would previously set rewards be too easy to obtain, making the gamification irrelevant? And finally, will learners spend the appropriate amount of time on activities? Or will they just breeze through them too quickly or spend too much time on one specific item? If, after asking yourself these questions, you decide that gamification is the proper step, follow the actions on the next 2 slides to get started.
Kim suggests that when using gamification as a tool to motivate learners, there are many factors that need to be considered. For starters, it is very important for teachers to decide on which goals they would like their students to achieve, and then to make sure that those goals are clear. Some goals can be set to motivate students to turn in their homework on time, work collaboratively, improve reading levels, or complete classroom activities in a timely manner. The next step is to determine the group that the gamification project will be aimed at. Will the entire class be part of the project, or is the goal directed at a specific group of learners? It's also important to identify the user and to understand what motivates them. Some students are intrinsically motivated and others are extrinsically motivated. The different learning styles of students within the group should also be considered when creating the gamification project. Additionally, gender, age, and culture are important factors to be considered. It's essential that different games are chosen based on how well they will work with the learning objective. According to Kim, card games will be best for promoting the ability to match concepts, manipulate numbers, and recognize patterns. Jeopardy-style games are likely to be best for promoting the learning of verbal information and concrete concepts. Arcade-style games are likely to be best at promoting speed of response, automaticity, and visual processing. Adventure games, which are narrative-driven, open-ended learning environments, are likely to be best for promoting hypothesis testing and problem solving.
A study was conducted over 17 weeks with 71 students and found an issue in which gamification could lower intrinsic motivation. There was two groups, one told about badges and that they were part of their grade, and one not told that the badges were still present. Several tests were given, including the scale surveys that tested on intrinsic motivation, including class satisfaction, class effort, learner empowerment, social comparison, and exam scores. The results indicated that all students started with similar levels of the tested factors, but by the third test 12 weeks in, the gamified students suffered statistically lower scores in all the intrinsic motivation measurements, which led to overall lower test scores. However, the final grades overall for both groups were not significantly different. The course the students were taking was considered an interesting elective course, but gamification made students feel forced when rewards were added on top of it. If the tasks were boring, students might find the rewards to be a pleasant distraction. And while this study seems to be in conjunction with that point, it is believed through other studies that even using a reward system for boring classes could have short-lived positive effect. There are some threats to validity that should be considered when electing to use gamification in the classroom and this study, but it should be considered. This concludes our study on gamification in education. You can reference any of these studies which we looked at through the presentation. Of course, you can go back and click the link to the YouTube video and the application links for examples earlier in the video. Thank you.